Hello there. To you, the one listening right now. Maybe you've stood in front of the mirror once, looked into your own eyes and wondered, why do I still feel younger than my age? Maybe it's because you belong to a special kind of soul, the kind that time simply cannot touch. People often say youth is a gift of the body, but the truth is it's the secret of the soul. And tonight, we'll open that secret door together. Step into the world of Aries, where the light of beginnings never fades, where every breath carries the first pulse of life itself. Because there's something very few people know. Aries isn't just young, they are the living symbol of rebirth. So sit back, take a slow, deep breath, and let me tell you the story, the mystery behind that ageless glow, the eternal fire that burns within every Aries. Have you ever seen an Aries walk into a room, and for some reason, the whole space just lights up? It's not because they're trying to draw attention. It's not about what they wear or how they look. There's simply something around them, a light that can't quite be described, warm, pure, and powerful. As if a flame were burning quietly inside their chest, a flame that never dies. They smile, and suddenly you can feel it, that strange sense that time cannot touch them. Maybe it's in their eyes, bright and alive. Maybe it's in their stride, confident, unafraid to begin again. Or maybe it's in the way they look at life, with wonder, courage, and a pure faith that anything is possible. In astrology, this isn't an accident. Aries is the first child of the universe, the soul that carries the very first breath of creation. They are the ringing bell of spring, the sunrise after a long night. Within them lives the energy of beginnings, always fresh, always new, always burning. That's why they never truly grow old. Some people lose their light with age. But Aries, they only shine brighter. Every storm refines them. Every fall awakens a softer, deeper kind of strength, one that glows from within. Buddhist teachings say, those who keep the beginner's mind are never touched by time. And that is Aries, the eternal child of the cosmos, always ready to begin again, always eager for the next adventure. In a world that rushes and shouts, Aries still believes in something simple, that tomorrow can be better, that people can be kinder, and that love is still worth believing in. That faith keeps them young, not in body but in heart. Sometimes you might catch them pausing for a moment, looking up at the sky. And in that gaze, you'll see a dreamer unafraid to hope, unafraid to trust, unafraid to start over even after being hurt. That's what makes them immortal in spirit. Aries may fail, may hurt, may be misunderstood, but they never lose the innocence of their pioneering soul. They will still run, still love, still believe. And that courage, that relentless love for life, keeps them forever young. If you pay attention, you'll notice something. Those who look young are often the ones still curious, still learning, still exploring. They never let themselves be trapped by the words too late. Aries lives this truth with every heartbeat. They reignite the beginning of the universe once more every day. And perhaps that's the greatest secret of youth. The light only you can keep alive. The light of a soul brave enough to live honestly, to start again, to love deeply, and to believe even after being broken. Youth is not measured by years. It's in the fire that still burns within you. As long as that flame is alive, time can only stand still and watch. Has anyone ever told you that you look younger than your age, Aries? If they have, share your story in the comments, because your light, your story, might just become a lantern for someone who's lost their way in the dark. And as you share, let your heart feel light as breath. Because sometimes, in the moment we share our faith, our light grows a little stronger. And somewhere deep within you, a door will open, revealing the eternal child that's always been there, smiling quietly, ready to tell you the next chapter of your story, the one called the innocence of the first sign, the child within the warrior. Sometimes in life, we meet someone who makes us forget what age even means. They may have lived through long years and carried deep scars, yet somehow they still keep something rare, a gaze filled with innocence and faith. In them there is the strength of a warrior and the tenderness of a child. That is the energy of Aries, the very first soul born in the zodiac circle, carrying the sacred mission of opening the path for life itself. Aries didn't come into this world to learn how to live. They came to remind us what it means to live truly. They live by instinct, by heart, by the quiet belief that tomorrow can be different. No matter how many times they fall, they rise again, brush off the dust, and smile. Not because they don't know pain, but because deep down they understand that every wound carries a gentle lesson from the universe. In astrology, Aries is born under the dawn of creation, a symbol of beginnings, of the first light after the long night. Like a child opening their eyes for the first time, they carry within them endless curiosity. Every day for Aries is another chance to love, to explore, to try again. And it's that curiosity that keeps their spirit forever young, pure, alive, and in motion. In Buddhist teaching, the childlike mind is considered the closest state to enlightenment, because a child's heart does not judge, does not calculate, does not cling. It simply is fully present in whatever is unfolding. When we see through the eyes of a child, the world stops being frightening. Everything becomes a miracle, and Aries is living proof of that truth. No matter how many years pass, Aries carries the light of beginnings, a light that makes them both strong and gentle. They forgive easily because holding grudges feels unnatural to them. They don't drag the past behind them. When someone hurts them, they might cry hard. But soon after, they laugh again, as if the rain has washed everything clean, and the sun has risen once more inside their heart. Aries doesn't live to prove anything, they live to feel, and that's what sets them apart. In a world that keeps teaching people to hide their emotions, Aries dares to express, to love, to believe, to dream. They are living proof that innocence is not weakness, it's the purest form of strength. Think back to the last time something truly amazed you, a flower blooming by the road, the laughter of a child, or a raindrop landing softly on your shoulder. When your heart can still tremble at small things, when the ordinary still feels magical, that's when you're still young. Not in your face, but in the light that shines behind your eyes. Someone once said, "You don't lose your youth when you grow older, you lose it when you stop being amazed." And Aries understands that better than anyone. They don't try to preserve youth, they simply keep their hearts open. And that openness makes time powerless. If you're listening right now and feel a part of you growing cold, remember there's still a child inside you waiting to smile, to run in the rain, to believe again in the good. Call that child by name. Let it breathe. Let it live. Let it laugh. Because sometimes that inner child is the one who saves us from the hardened silence of adulthood. And perhaps, when that light returns, when your eyes begin to shine again for something small, when you stop being afraid and start loving life one more time, that's the moment you become young again. Not younger than others, but younger than the version of yourself from yesterday. If this message touches your heart, write one simple sentence in the comments. I still believe in miracles. And as you write, imagine your words becoming a seed, because every seed of faith grows into a garden inside your heart, where light and healing rise together. And when that garden begins to bloom, you'll realize something quietly profound. Innocence isn't just the most beautiful part of youth. It's the very key that unlocks the life force of the universe. In that soft breath, you'll hear it, the whisper of life itself, the voice of the soul calling you deeper, inviting you into the next layer of youth, where movement becomes meditation, and action becomes the way to keep your spirit forever new. When you watch a true Aries live, you're not just seeing a person in motion, you're witnessing life itself expressing through them. They simply can't stay still. There's fire in their eyes, rhythm in their steps, the heartbeat of a star still burning. Because for Aries, movement isn't just instinct, it's existence itself. It's the natural breath of their soul. Ruled by Mars, the planet of energy and action, Aries is like a quiet volcano. All it takes is one spark of inspiration, one bold idea, and they ignite. They can't bear stagnation, nor can they live in stillness for too long. When their body moves, when their mind takes action, every cell awakens, blood flows freely, energy renews itself. Science calls this metabolism, but in the language of spirit, it's rebirth. Something almost mystical happens when they move. The weight of sorrow, the quiet ache of the heart, begins to dissolve. Because when Aries moves, they aren't just shifting through space. They're freeing the soul from its own knots. Pain isn't buried, it's released through every step, every breath, every drop of sweat. Buddhist wisdom says, let the body be active but not chaotic, let the mind move yet remain still. Aries embodies that teaching perfectly. Outwardly, they may run, fight, or dive into 100 challenges, but deep inside they know movement is meditation. When the body moves with awareness, each breath becomes a prayer, each heartbeat a silent thank you to life. When Aries runs, they don't run away from pain, they run through it. When they climb their mountains, it's not to prove anything, it's to rediscover their own clarity. Their body is not a machine, it's a sacred doorway into light where healing begins. I've met Aries souls who have carried deep wounds. They rarely talk about them. Instead, they walk, they create, they start again. They go outside, learn something new, or simply wander through nature. And somewhere out there, in the wind, in the rustle of leaves, in the rhythm of their footsteps, they hear their soul whisper softly, I'm still alive. For them, movement isn't escape, it's connection. When their blood flows, when their heart beats strong, when their body and spirit work together, they're speaking to the universe, I'm still here. And the universe answers with light, with inspiration, with quiet miracles that only those who are truly alive can see. In today's world, most of us barely move. We spend hours before screens, hardly feel the sun, slowly losing the sacred link between body and mind. But Aries reminds us movement is life. When the body is allowed to move, the soul is allowed to breathe. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, step outside, let the wind touch your face, let the light brush across your eyes and feel your heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of the world. In that moment, you're not just moving, you're opening a door for youthful energy to flow back into you. And maybe that's why Aries never really grows old, because they don't just live, they flow. They move with the current of existence, turning every action into gratitude, every step into a prayer, every heartbeat into a song of freedom. If you're an Aries, remember your body is the sacred temple where your soul resides. Keep it in motion. Keep it listening. Keep it alive in every moment. Because when you move with love, awareness, and gratitude, you're healing yourself one heartbeat at a time. Aries, what makes you feel most alive? Is it dancing, walking, creating? Share your story, because your story might just inspire someone else to begin again, to move, to breathe, to live. And as that current of energy begins to ripple outward, when action becomes the voice of the soul, we finally see the truth. Youth doesn't live in the body. It lives in the flame that keeps reaching forward. A flame that knows how to love life, how to feel deeply, and how to burn brightly for what it believes in. Like a river that never stops flowing, that energy carries us further still, into a deeper realm, where the inner flame transforms into passion. And passion becomes the sacred water that keeps the soul forever young. Aries doesn't just live, they burn. They are living torches, born to light the path ahead, even when they themselves don't yet know where that path will lead. But still, the flame burns, not for fame, not for glory, simply because that's who they are. If you've ever sat across from an Aries while they talk about something they love, you'll understand. Their eyes ignite, their voice rises. Every gesture vibrates like electricity moving through the air. In that moment, they stop being just human, they become pure energy, a beam of light moving through this world to remind us that passion is life itself. Science says passion releases dopamine and endorphins, those happy hormones that keep the body young and the mind alert. But on a deeper level, passion is the soul's miracle medicine. When you're truly passionate about something, you're no longer trapped in the past or anxious about the future. You're completely here, present, alive, and radiant. In Buddhist wisdom, to live with passion is to merge with the fire of Dharma, the endless creative current of the universe. When a painter paints with all their heart, when a mother tends to her child with unconditional love, when an Aries throws themselves into a dream, they're not just working, they're praying. They're merging with the sacred pulse of creation. There are days when the world feels quiet, heavy, colorless, and then Aries finds a spark. A song, an idea, a word, and suddenly, everything glows again. In that instant, every cell remembers, I'm alive. I once heard an Aries say, "When I do what I love, I don't need rest. Joy itself is my energy." And it's true. Passion is the fountain of youth. It flows through years, washes away pain, clears fatigue, and brings the soul back to life. Passion isn't just for the young, it's the birthright of every soul that still breathes. When you allow yourself to love something again, a melody, a dream, a forgotten part of you, you open the door back to life. That's how Aries endures through time. They always find a reason to begin again. When we live with passion, every action gains meaning. A painting is no longer just color. A step is no longer just movement. A word of love is no longer just sound. Everything becomes creative energy, spreading, renewing, and making the whole world young again. Deep within, passion is the language of the soul. It needs no words, only heartbeat. Whenever your heart lights up, your whole body responds, every cell, every breath whispering back, "I'm still here. I still have something to give. I still have love to share." And in that sacred moment, age loses its power. You grow young again not because time reverses, but because life within you awakens. You smile without a reason. You want to share. You want to create. You want to love once more. That is why Aries is the symbol of youth, the soul that burns for what it believes in. So ask yourself, Aries, what still makes your heart race like the very first time? What makes you feel so alive that you lose track of time? Share that story, because in telling it, you might awaken someone else's lost faith. Passion isn't just your light, it's a fire that spreads. And when one heart catches flame, thousands more can ignite. When we speak of youth, we're really speaking of passion. When we speak of passion, we're speaking of life. And when we speak of life, we're always speaking of love. The breath of passion doesn't end with emotion. It moves, it expands like wind touching water, creating endless ripples. And within that quiet motion, we begin to see another layer of youth, where the present moment itself becomes a doorway to peace. And every second of truly living is a miracle unfolding. The world today moves so fast that sometimes we forget we're actually alive. We get swept away by memories that haven't yet healed, or by plans that haven't yet taken shape. But in the middle of all that motion, there is a different kind of soul, Aries. They are not tied to the past, nor are they afraid of the future. They live fully in every breath, in every moment. And that is what keeps them young, not just in face, but in spirit. If you've ever sat beside an Aries while they laugh, you'll notice something strange. Their laughter doesn't come from memory or from expectation. It comes from now, this very moment where life itself is blooming through them. There's nothing forced about it, nothing calculated. It's simply life, expressing itself naturally through their being. In Buddhist wisdom, those who live completely in the present are immortal in every breath, because when the mind rests here, truly here, time cannot touch it. The wrinkles of worry, the traces of regret, they are washed away by peace. That is the deepest secret of youth. It doesn't live in the skin, but in a soul untouched by time. Aries understands this in their own way. When they act, they give everything. When they love completely. When they hurt, they allow themselves to feel it fully. They don't hide from emotion, they let it move through them, softly, naturally, like wind passing over a field. And that's why they always feel new. In a world full of anxiety, where people are always somewhere else in their thoughts, Aries appears as the universe's reminder. The present moment is the only place we ever truly live. You might see them early in the morning, standing still before sunrise, their eyes lost in that first light of day. They're not searching for answers, they're simply feeling their own existence. A peaceful face will never wear the marks of worry, and a soul that knows how to pause will never grow tired. Living in the present is the detox of our age, where we release the what-ifs of tomorrow and the if-onlys of yesterday. When we let go, we return. And when we return, we grow young again. I once met an Aries woman in her 50s, but her eyes shone like someone of 20. She told me, "Every morning I just make a good cup of tea, take a deep breath, and smile. That's all, and I feel I've lived a full day." Her words were simple, but held more wisdom than any sermon I'd ever heard. Because truthfully, youth never leaves us. It's we who leave it behind when we let our minds drift too far from this moment. When we live in the past, we live in the shadow of what's gone. When we worry about the future, we live in the illusion of what's not yet here. Only when we are fully present, hearing our heartbeat, feeling our breath, do we truly touch the timeless part of ourselves. That's how Aries lives. They don't wait for joy to come, they create it. They don't need perfection to be happy, they're simply grateful to be. And that gratitude radiates through every cell, every heartbeat, every breath, infusing them with a quiet, living freshness. Pause for a moment, Aries. Take a slow, deep breath. Ask yourself, what are you grateful for today? Maybe it's a friend who stayed by your side through the seasons. Maybe it's the morning sky you still get to see. Or maybe it's simply the sound of your own heart still speaking to you. Write it down slowly, sincerely, because every word you write becomes a seed of peace. And those seeds, that gratitude, is the spring that keeps your heart warm, your eyes bright, and your soul forever fresh, like morning light after the rain. And just like a still lake after a storm, that calm energy begins to deepen, leading you to the next layer of living, where action becomes healing and pain quietly turns into light. In every human journey, there are wounds no one can see. Some pains leave no scar on the skin, yet they carve deep into the soul. And for Aries, the souls born of fire, they don't choose to run from that pain. They face it. They act. They transform their wounds into strength. And somehow, they make the world admire them for their power to be reborn. When Aries is hurt, they don't sit still in the dark. They move even if their legs tremble. They do something, anything. They start a new project, they exercise, they change their environment, or simply rearrange their room. To others, these may seem like small acts, but for Aries, they are sacred, a meditation in motion. It's their way of telling the universe, I'm still here. I still have the strength to move forward. In Buddhist philosophy, mindful action is a way of transforming karma. When we move with awareness, we don't run from pain, we walk with it. We give it space to be seen, to be understood until it melts away. Because negative energy, when trapped, becomes illness in body and in mind. But when it's released through loving action, it turns into light. I once heard an Aries say, I never let my pain sit still inside me. I let it run with me, write with me, work with me until it's no longer pain. Those words may sound simple, but they hold one of the deepest truths about healing. Every time you rise after a fall, your soul grows younger, not because time reverses, but because fear has fallen away, and you've come closer to who you truly are. In today's world, where people hide their emotions better than they share them, Aries stands as a reminder that feelings are not enemies. They are life energy, and when that energy is transformed, it becomes extraordinary strength. When you allow tears to fall, you are cleansing. When you stand up again, you are reborn. When you dare to love after heartbreak, you're declaring to life itself, I still believe. Maybe you, the one listening right now, are holding an old pain in your heart. Maybe it's loss, betrayal, or a dream left unfinished. But remember this, Aries never lets the past define them. They use it as fuel. They walk on, their hearts still wet with tears, but their eyes fixed on the sunrise. And in that walk, something magical happens. They grow lighter, freer, and somehow younger. Every time Aries takes action, the universe answers. A door opens, a chance appears. A kind soul shows up at just the right moment. Because motion calls to motion, energy calls to energy. When you dare to move, life moves with you. Watching Aries overcome their wounds, I've learned something profound. They don't try to forget, they transform. They turn pain into purpose. Those betrayed become healers who help others believe in love again. Those who have lost everything create opportunities for others. Those once misunderstood become voices of compassion. That is the true power of a warrior's soul, not to let pain destroy them, but to let it teach them to live deeper, love harder, and understand more. When pain is turned into purpose, it becomes light. And that light doesn't just shine on you, it reaches others who are still lost in their darkness. Have you ever turned your pain into something beautiful? Share it. Because your story might be someone else's hope, someone who needs to believe that one day, they too will smile at their scars. And when that healing light begins to spread, when people learn to love again, to forgive the past, to walk forward once more, we begin to see a quiet miracle. Youth is not preserved by the body, but by the soul's ability to be reborn, like a flame that flickers higher after a storm. Aries always finds a way to burn brighter than before, and from those ashes, they step into the final depth of their journey, where the inner fire becomes eternal, and time itself becomes just a distant dream. There are some people who, when you look at them, you no longer see age. You only see a kind of light that makes you want to smile. They don't need to look young on the outside, because there's an energy within them that feels like standing in the middle of spring. They are the ones who know how to keep the fire alive in their hearts, and Aries is one of them. The youth of Aries doesn't live in their skin, it lives in their soul. Inside them burns a flame that never goes out. No matter how the world changes, no matter how many times they fall, they always find a reason to rise again, to begin again, to believe that life is still worth living one more time. They don't fear failure or pain, because they understand that every scar is proof that they once dared to love, to live, to burn completely. The flame of Aries never rests. It's the force that drives them forward, the faith that carries them through storms, the light that keeps them from losing their way in the dark. When others stop dreaming, they still dream. When others hesitate to start, they take the leap. And when others say they're tired, Aries smiles softly and says, "At least I truly lived." As long as a person still feels passion, still acts, still believes in goodness, they never truly grow old. Because age doesn't begin with gray hair. It begins the moment we stop believing in miracles. And Aries, no matter how many seasons they've lived, still believes that a single spark can light up the entire night sky. Time can take the youth of the body, but it can never touch the light of the soul. When you live with that fire inside, every breath becomes sacred. You stop chasing youth, you become youth itself. Because true youth isn't a phase of life, it's a state of the heart. In the rush of modern life, we often forget this simple truth. We let time pile on our shoulders, let duties and worries make our hearts grow stiff. But Aries comes to remind us, as long as you're still curious, still in love with life, still moved by a single ray of sunlight or a blooming flower, you're still young. Youth is wonder when you see something new. It's excitement when you begin again. It's the smile that comes when you forgive yourself. It's the gratitude of realizing that being alive today is already a gift. Time will bow to those who keep the fire burning in their hearts, because that is the one thing time cannot touch. Those who live from their inner light make the world around them warmer, softer, and full of hope. So live like Aries, always reborn, always curious, always in love with life. Let the fire in your heart become a lantern, not only for yourself, but for every soul still searching for its light, because within each of us lies an eternal flame, waiting to be rekindled by faith and kindness. And when you sit quietly one afternoon, try to listen to that small whisper inside. You'll hear a gentle voice saying, "Live once more brightly." That voice is the Aries spirit within you, the forever young, brave, and honest part of your soul. Thank you to every beautiful soul who has shared this moment. May the fire in your heart always burn bright. May your spirit stay curious. And may your soul remain forever young. With love and with light, Namaste.